Cowboys Nation, listen closely, because this isn't just another coaching hire. This is one of those moments that quietly tells you what direction the franchise is choosing to go. The Dallas Cowboys didn't hire a familiar name. They didn't hire a recycled head coach. They didn't hire a comfort pick. They hired Christian Parker, 34 years old, first-time defensive coordinator, a coach most casual fans barely know. And that's exactly why this move deserves real attention right now. Because when a team comes off one of the worst defensive seasons in franchise history, when the secondary collapses weekly, when confusion and busted coverages become normal, every single decision on that side of the ball matters. This isn't about hype, this is about identity. And the Cowboys just handed their defensive identity to a coach who comes directly from the Vic Fangio tree, from the Eagles defense that consistently shut down the pass, and from a development background that has turned young defensive backs into all-pros fast. Before we go any further, I want you to hear how the national media reacted to this hire, because their skepticism actually reveals the challenge Parker is walking into. Now, listen to what Shannon Sharpe said when reacting to the Cowboys hiring Christian Parker.
Defensive coordinator. It's a bit of a meteoric rise for Parker, 34, who spent the past 2 seasons under Vic Fangio's staff in Philly and only coached in the NFL since 2019.
Yeah.
Parker's secondary has been the strength of the Eagles' top 5 scoring defense both years there. Philly ranked first in passing yards allowed in 2024 while giving up 22 touchdowns through the air, the 6th fewest in the NFL. This past season, finished 8th in passing yards allowed and first in passing touchdown surrenders with 14. That's a stark difference from Dallas, which was the worst defense in the league in passing yards allowed, giving up a whopping 35 touchdowns, 31st in 2025. The Dallas also finished 32nd and 30th in points and yards allowed, respectively, which led to the firing of defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus after 1 season. Ocho, you like this hire?
I mean, the hire doesn't matter, huh? The hire doesn't matter. I mean, you could bring Jesus out there to be the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. You're still going to get what you got. You have to understand where coach is coming from, huh? Coach is coming from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Their strength and their identity is on the defensive end. Well, hell, you got Cooper DeJean, you got Keon Mitchell, you got
Blankenship.
that front four, that Blankenship, you got
Zach Braun,
you got that front four,
N'Kobe Dean.
Hey, the second level, you got Vaughn. I mean, there's a reason why the defense looked like it did. There's a reason why coaches get jobs to go other places when they've been at places where the goddamn talent level is somewhat damn near elite.
I agree.
And that's what it is. Now for coach, Mr. Parker going over to goddamn Dallas, now is where coaching comes into play.
Yep.
If you ain't got the quality or the skill players at those positions, you're still going to get exposed. So what you had to work with in Philly, you don't have to work with in goddamn Dallas. That's going to be the problem that you're going to run into. So it doesn't matter who you bring in the coach if you don't have the quality of players to be able to run the scheme or the system that you want to incorporate. I'm just being honest.
You're being very honest, and I think that's the thing is that I can't, off the top of my head, I don't know if there's a player on Dallas's defense that I would take over somebody on the Eagles' defense, especially not the secondary.
Nobody.
Definitely not the linebackers. I'm not even Quentin Mitchell. I wouldn't take him over Jordan Davis. I wouldn't. And I know he's been an all-pro, and I know he's going to the Pro Bowl. But right now, as I sit here and we have this conversation, Ocho, I wouldn't. We know Jalen Carter has talent out the yin-yang.
Oh, yeah.
I just need him to play hard all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think – I mean, I need Vic Fangio to get in his ear and have a conversation with him. Hopefully he called him in and said, son, if you're not in Defensive Player of the Year discussion, you failed. We failed you and you failed us.
Right.
You have that kind of ability. Vic Fangio has been around some of the great talent defensive players in the league. I remember having a conversation with Wade Phillips. Wade was the D coordinator in Houston. And I was asking him about J.J. Watt. And he said, Shannon, they keep talking about he a bust. He's going to be a bust. He said, Shannon, he's going to have a bust in Canton with you. I swear, Ocho, that's what he told me.
Right.
He said, Shannon, he's gonna have a bust in Canton with you. Before the guy even played a down. He said, if you watch this guy in practice, now I think he would know. He coached Reggie White, he coached Ricky Jackson, he coached Von Miller, he coached a lot of great. What's the guy? He won Defensive Player of the Year at Buffalo. Bryce Pop.
Yeah.
Bruce Smith. Bryce Pop was the Defensive Player of the Year. Bruce Smith was the Defensive Player of the Year. Reggie White was the Defensive Player of the Year. Ricky Jacks in the Hall of Fame. Von Miller, we know.
Shannon immediately points out the contrast. In Philadelphia, Parker coached a secondary loaded with talent. Top 5 scoring defense, elite pass defense metrics. Meanwhile, Dallas finished dead last in passing yards allowed, near the bottom in points and yards overall. Shannon's message is blunt. Scheme alone doesn't fix a talent gap. Coaching matters, but players matter too. And that's not an unfair concern, but here's where the conversation needs to shift. Because the Cowboys didn't hire Parker to magically turn water into wine. They hired him because of what he has consistently done with young players, and because of how he teaches the game. That's where the local conversation becomes far more revealing.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm happy to be here. I can't do it as well as y'all did. But no, Christian Parker, 34 years old. He's only been in the NFL for 7 years. He started,
1 year older than Dak.
He started back. That's true. He started back in 2019 as a defensive quality control coach for the Packers. That evolved into him becoming the defensive backs coach with the Broncos in 2021. That was the year they drafted Patrick Surtain in the first round. By year 2, Patrick Surtain was an all-pro, working with Christian Parker as his defensive backs coach. And then, obviously, we've seen what's happened with Patrick Surtain since he's been one of, if not the best corners in the NFL. And then he joined the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024, the year they went to the Super Bowl. He's the passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach. That's the role he's held for the last 2 years. And same thing. That's the year that they draft Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean on day 1 and day 2. Both of them all pros this past year in 2025. So, of all the candidates that the Cowboys interviewed, there were 9 total, and then they were rejected for one of them. He has, I think, the strongest developmental track record in terms of within 2 years, these young corners, yes, they were drafted high, and that's certainly something you have to think about with this, but they're all pro players.
Yeah.
And you think about the Cowboys in their current situation right now, you've got Savone Revel, a corner that they really like, but he needs to get healthy. Can he get developed and gain his confidence back and be what a lot of people thought he was at East Carolina, which was a first-round pick, maybe the best corner in his class? You've got Deron Bland, who, again, is also battling injuries, but if he gets healthy, we've seen what he can do when he's playing on the outside, and he breaks the record for most pick sixes in a season. And you also think about the Cowboys have 2 first-round picks. So do you think that they're enticed now to go and get a corner or go and get a safety with one of those picks, given how good this guy is with taking those early round talents and developing them into all-pro caliber players? I think they're going to have a lot of options, but I think that Christian Parker has got a solid resume for himself. He had a very good interview with them on Wednesday, and obviously they're moving quickly to try and get him in the building now.
All right, Nate, we were in the back talking about, when you walked in the back, I said, they found their guy. And you looked at me and you said, hey, I got very few qualifications for this guy. And you said what you wanted to see from Christian Parker that would kind of put you in the mind frame and in the mood of, okay, I can get with this dude. I can rally behind him and follow him. What were those things that you told me?
And it's simple. And a lot of people think this is easy. But here at the Cowboys, it don't work that way. Will we have a full contingency of players, potential players, on defense from OTAs through training camp, full 99.9% participation? Will these guys play during the preseason? Because if we don't have that from this guy, and he's asking that, because I know they do it a lot up in Philadelphia, but this ain't Philadelphia. So would he bring this down here, this developmental from the Broncos through to Philadelphia to here? Will he be allowed to do these type things? That's just, it sounds so simple. Hey, yeah, man, new system, new this, new that, new players. We're going to get to know each other. But will they get to know this guy?
This is where you start to understand why the Cowboys zeroed in on Parker. Packers quality control coach, Broncos defensive backs coach under Fangio, Eagles passing game coordinator and DB coach during a Super Bowl run. Patrick Surtain becomes an All-Pro. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean become elite almost immediately. That's not coincidence. That's development. And development is the word that keeps coming up, because the Cowboys are no longer in a position to rely purely on stars. They need growth across the roster. They need teaching. They need clarity. But development alone isn't enough when you move from coaching 7 defensive backs to running an entire defense. And that's where the concerns start to surface.
Do it the same? No. And for me, the biggest thing was development. Because I know that he was a passing game coordinator and a defensive back coach. But now I need to develop everything. You're now in charge of everything. It ain't just the secondary anymore. Yeah. You got linebackers. You preside over. You have defensive line that you have to preside over. Rush ends you got to preside over. So my thing has always been, because a part of where the Cowboys have lacked, in my opinion, has been the development part. Is, yes, Patrick Surtain was going to be fine. In my opinion, whoever coached him, right? He come from pedigree. He was a high first round, top 10 pick. The percentages of Patrick Surtain not being good were slim, right? Now, yes, you want somebody to kind of usher him into that thing, but, we wanted Patrick Surtain. So screw you, Coach Parker, for taking Patrick Surtain away from us early on. We wanted to draft him in. We wanted him to fall to 12. We wanted J.C. Horn to fall to 12. But then the same thing with Mitchell and what's the other called? DeGene. Right? These are guys who are expected to do so.
Sure.
But will you be able to give me depth? Will you be able to give me something from the front end to the back end that we have a strong foundation on? Right? Because that's been our problem. We've always been top heavy. We'll always have some guys that name brand, and then after that, if they happen to go down or a team finds a way to scheme up them to take them out of the game, we're cooked.
Yep.
Nobody else can show up. Nobody else finds a way to do anything on a productive level, and it's been that way for 10 plus years. And so I've always been interested in what are these guys going to be in the developmental department?
Amen.
Are they going to be, and the question is still unanswered, and we'll have time, but I'm interested to see. That's what I will be keeping my eye on this offseason, is what players are we bringing in, because
starting with free agents.
When he had a good defense in with the Broncos and with Philadelphia, yeah, it's really good. It's really easy for Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell to be all pros when you got those monsters up front collapsing that pocket and making the quarterback's life a living hell.
No doubt.
Right? Like that makes life a ton easier to cover when quarterbacks don't have all day to sit back there and do things. And that's the part that we have to see, begin to develop. But this is a player-driven league. This is a player-driven league, man. You ain't never found a great coach that wasn't linked to a great player. Sorry. You know what I mean? Bill Parcells. Okay, cool. You had that maniac number 56 running around there for you. You know what I mean? Like you named the coach. I can almost guarantee you that there was a gold level jacket wearing dude or dudes around him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the part that I want to see now. I want to see, will Jerry and company in the front office, will that tight pocketbook that they got, that tight purse, that wallet that's hey bro, come on now.
Players, yeah.
Well, you make a great point, because you talk about the player side. I wonder about, okay, what does the rest of this defensive coaching staff look like?
Yeah.
How much of it is going to be holdovers from this past staff, and how much of it is going to be an influx of what Christian Parker is looking for, or maybe whoever else it may be? But absolutely, I've always been of the opinion that your secondary gets so much better when you have a pass rush.
Yeah.
You can get away with maybe not being all that great, whether it be talent-wise or schematically in the secondary, if you get home on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Dallas did not get home on the quarterback at all last year. And so it didn't matter if they had Darrelle Revis and Deion Sanders. Okay, maybe that makes a difference. But you can have those high-level guys, but if you're not getting home on the quarterback, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, yes, Christian, that's my biggest question for Christian Parker is what does the front seven look like?
Cool.
Like, are your linebackers going to take a step forward? Is that another area you target in the draft? Can you get after the quarterback so that his job becomes easier.
Yeah.
This is the real test. Parker is no longer just responsible for technique and coverage. He now oversees the front seven, the pass rush, the run fits, the communication, and the entire defensive structure. As the panel points out, even elite corners look better when quarterbacks don't have time. And that connects directly to the biggest question Dallas fans should be asking. Will the front office finally support the defense with real personnel moves? Because Parker's scheme, influenced heavily by Fangio, relies on disguise, versatility, and 2 high safety looks designed to eliminate explosive plays. That alone is a philosophical shift from what burned Dallas repeatedly last season. But no scheme survives without pressure up front. And that brings us to the most important part of Parker's coaching profile, how he communicates.
Wow.
So it's on Facebook, or X?
Both, hey, it's X. Sorry.
X.
Oh,
X.
Both of y'all some haters.
Let me follow Tommy. I didn't know I didn't follow you.
So this is it's a thread. There's a couple of videos and some articles that have been written on Christian Parker over the years, dating back to when he was 29 in Denver. The first one was from Denver days, talking about authenticity. Parker was quoted saying, "Players can sense if you're trying to be something you're not or trying to get past a lack of preparation. You can't keep that act up for long." So clearly, he's being genuine with his players, and I think that's backed up by, we've got this about note-taking. Parker keeps extensive digital notebooks, logging daily observations and organizing them by topics so that when future opportunities arose, he could reference his own experiences instead of relying on memory alone. And then you talked about teaching, Jesse. Talking about teaching, Parker began asking each player about their personal baseline process and then structured meetings to complement, not override, that approach. His goal became consistency in what the group emphasized. And in terms of being adaptable to different coaching styles and kind of not one size fits all, he described his coaching philosophy as coach and treat everyone fairly, but not the same. Some thrive on being challenged publicly in meetings, while others respond better to one-on-one correction. So it sounds like you're getting a guy who's going to build good relationships with his players, kind of like what Brian Schottenheimer outlined he was looking for, and he's going to get a knack of what they excel at and how they learn, because we all learn differently, right? You might be a visual learner, you might be a written learner, whatever it is. I just couldn't learn at all. But figuring out what that is. All right, come on. Look at us. I think figuring that out and understanding that, especially with today's era of players where a lot of guys are younger, the game has changed at the college level so much, and even the pro level, that everybody has a knack for how they understand scheme and how they understand what their assignment is. And the last one, in terms of his meetings, was his meetings resemble the Socratic-style classrooms he enjoyed as a political science major. Players are frequently asked to explain concepts, challenge ideas, or defend adjustments. Nobody is allowed to sit quietly and coast.
Yeah, it is. I like that last part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school and we did Socratic seminars, is what they were called. It was always super uncomfortable because I don't know, I just didn't like speaking up. But you want your players to be uncomfortable, right? And you want them to be able to speak up and defend. Okay, hey coach, I don't think we should be doing this, or hey coach, maybe we should be doing this. So those are, again, we'll see if that continues to be the case here in Dallas, but sounds like he's off to a good start.
And see, I like that part. And a lot of times we do, sometimes here on this show, we go back on the experiences that we've had and the things that we've been able to garner over the years. And when I hear that, it immediately takes me back to being in New England. And that was like a Bill Belichick also philosophy, where he could see you in the lunchroom and he'll go, Jesse, tell me who the backup cornerback is on the team we're playing this weekend. You better have an answer. Like, you better have an answer. Like, you like, what do they like to run? We went through it last week. We went through it early in the week. What do they like to run on third down? What coverage? You're sitting there trying to get you a sloppy Joe sandwich. You know what I mean? He'll catch you in the hallway. You're coming out of the sauna, and then you go into it. You never sat comfortably in a meeting because you never knew when a question was going to be thrown your way. You never knew when you were going to be asked to answer a question from Bill Belichick, from Josh McDaniels, or one of your coaches. And that was kind of, that rang through the building. So it made you, even when you didn't want to study, it made you go and study because you're like, well, I would hate to be that guy in that meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he asked me a question, I don't have the answer, because that ultimately would be a deal breaker in whether you played or not.
Because, man, I'm telling you, we tested, man. And I wasn't the best at it, but to be uncomfortable, but for that coach to know that you've got
This
what
segment matters because it explains why players swear by Parker. His meetings aren't passive. His approach isn't one size fits all. He adapts to how players learn. He demands engagement. He forces understanding. That's how you eliminate confusion. That's how you stop seeing defenders pointing at each other after blown assignments. And when you hear players like Cooper DeJean credit Parker directly for their growth, that's not coach speak. That's professional respect. But let's be honest, coaching in Dallas is different.
An up-and-coming, a younger guy, they're learning on the job too, right? The gift is that they're young, they're energetic, they have new ideas, fresh ideas. They most likely relate to your players and the culture of those guys. And sometimes the curse could be you don't have experience being over the entire group. And the one thing that I will always say, I've been in 3 different organizations. I've been with the Bengals, the Cowboys, and the Patriots. There's nothing like the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to the coverage, when it comes to and for Christian Parker, boy, you talking about shoes that you have to fill, but expectations now that you have to fill, coming off one of the worst defenses in NFL history, the worst defense in Cowboy history, and now they go, here you go, young fella. You have to turn this around. Because I don't know about y'all. That's what all eyes will be on every time every time we are looking at what are they doing on the defense.
But a way of simplifying that, and I'm gonna beat this hard, man. This horse. I'm gonna beat this horse. Yeah, I'm gonna beat this horse. I'm gonna beat it, man. You will have to. Y'all all right? Y'all okay?
We're fine. Are you okay?
Yeah. You will have to, as a defensive coordinator, have a message that every position coach can put out there.
Yeah.
And you cannot back up off of your mantra, your what you believe in. You will have to be there and believe in what you're saying and putting these things in place. For that first year, it can't be, hey, this is what Tommy think, or this is what Jesse think, or this is what Kurt think. No, this is what we think, and this is coming from the coordinator. Because once you have that leakage of, I really don't. See, that's what ran Zim out of here. That's what ran Zim out of here. Too many voices.
This segment matters because it explains why players swear by Parker. His meetings aren't passive. His approach isn't one size fits all. He adapts to how players learn. He demands engagement. He forces understanding. That's how you eliminate confusion. That's how you stop seeing defenders pointing at each other after blown assignments. And when you hear players like Cooper DeJean credit Parker directly for their growth, that's not coach speak. That's professional respect. But let's be honest, coaching in Dallas is different. This is where the weight of the star comes in. Parker is young, he's ascending, but Dallas isn't a developmental market for coaches. Every mistake is magnified, every blown coverage becomes a headline, and coming off one of the worst defenses in team history, patience will be thin. But here's the opportunity. There is nowhere to go but up. Parker inherits a defense desperate for structure, accountability, and teaching. He brings a modern scheme, a proven developmental track record, and a mindset built on communication. And with 2 first-round picks and an offseason that will define the roster, the Cowboys have a chance to finally align coaching philosophy with personnel decisions. This hire tells me something important. The Cowboys aren't chasing nostalgia, they're chasing evolution. Cowboys Nation, this offseason is about identity. Do you believe Christian Parker can build something real here? Or is this too much too fast in the toughest coaching environment in football? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like and subscribe, because the next moves Dallas makes will tell us everything about where this franchise is headed.